Hey guys, what's happening? I'm going to do a follow-up video here real quick. On my last two videos, I did a two-part video on how to adjust the valves on a Desmoquattro motor. I have a 2000 model 996 that I bought a little over a year ago for a ridiculous $4,200. And it had a little less than 6,000 miles on it, so I got it, rolled it over to 6,000 miles, then I did a belt change, adjusted all my valves. I had 4 rockers that had flaked, the chrome had flaked off. I replaced 4 rockers, kind of went through the whole motor, adjusting the valves, changed the oil, changed the fork oil, put a new set of tires on it. I re-geared it. I went from a 36 tooth rear sprocket. The 996, I guess, was the tallest geared Ducati superbike that they've ever done, and it was way too tall gearing. So I changed the rear sprocket to a 41 tooth. Holy shit, highly recommended. This thing pulls like freaking crazy. We kind of need it here in Colorado anyways. One, I've got all of the Colorado mountain roads that we ride on, so it's you know, real windy, twisty roads, so the more torque you have, the better. So I did that, and wow, night and day. We lose 20% of our power here at this altitude anyway, so that was a huge improvement. Still no problem, runs up to 120 mile an hour like right now, likes to wheelie in first gear, and yeah, completely different animal. Highly recommend that. But anyways, the reason I'm making this video is to talk about my cams real quick. I might do 2 videos. I might do another one on doing a belt change, but I need to get all my cams put back in. I've got them all pulled out right now, so once I get those back in and have a couple of belts in there, for reference, I'll do another video on doing a belt change. But I specifically made this to talk about the cams. A couple guys had asked me questions about what happened after I polished them and what do they look like after I ran them. So I'm going to talk about that. So at 6,000 miles, I'm starting with a fresh, you know, everything's fresh, ready to go. I rode 3,000 miles and I did an oil change. So I was at 9,000 miles. And I had some little pieces of flaky chrome on my pickup screen, and I was like, oh, you know, wow, is that some residual chrome, you know, kind of pushing its way out, or do I have another issue? So went back to riding again, rode it up to 12,000 miles now, and pulled out my cams, and sure enough, one more of my rockers has some flaky chrome, some chrome that's come off. And this one I'd had in my notes that it was suspicious, and I didn't do it. Back when I did all my other ones, I already had so much money tied up when I was going through it with a set of tires and chain and sprockets, a shim kit at $300, 4 rockers. I mean, I was knee deep into it. So basically, I was just a tight ass, and I didn't replace them all. Doing it as I have to. So this one obviously bad, so it was time to do it. But yeah, good summer. Phenomenal motorcycle. Wow, this thing all as fast as the new bikes. I ride with the Ducati club and a couple other guys with some new bikes, you know, 150 horsepower model Ducatis, and this thing, believe me, has no problem keeping up with all the new bikes. It's a phenomenal bike. Couldn't be happier. Nice. I rode my Moto Guzzi 6,000 miles this year, my chopper a couple thousand, so about 14,000 miles this last summer. So I got a lot of riding in. I was really happy, and every time I got on this Ducati, man, it put a big, huge smile on my face. The thing is a lot of fun to ride. Back to these cams. Here's the problem with putting the polish to them yourself. If they were a little bit rough and you didn't have to take much material off, it would be okay. As much material as I had to take off, kind of all the way around. Let me show you what the problem is. Hold this up here. See this opener here? All nice, super flat. You can see where the wear is. All nice and smooth. Good coverage all the way across. Same with these closers. But if you look at this opener here, I must have had this thing, obviously have this thing canted a puss this way, and there's more wear on this half of this lobe. So only about a 50% coverage on my rocker, which is not ideal either. So back when I was debating on replacing these, I saw some on eBay, relatively cheap, but once again, being a tight ass, I just went through and cleaned up the ones that I have. But I am looking for some replacements. If I can find a good deal on a set here in a quickness, I might change these out. Because that's not ideal either. I could spend a little time. This is the only one. I got one lobe that's bad. The other ones all look really good. Maybe another one that maybe I might touch up. So I could change this, clean this up just a little bit and keep running them. But if you got to take a bunch of material off, maybe just look for some cleaner cams. Everything's so cheap. The guys parting these 996s out. That parts are pretty darn cheap. So not that big of a deal. But the other thing I did want to talk about was cam timing. One guy getting all up in my grill about how I dicked up my cam timing, which is ridiculous, because let me explain cam timing really quick. And cam timing on a Desmoquattro. You can change the cam timing on a Desmoquattro, although it's not as easy as the newer bikes, because this tooth belt pulley is fixed with a woodruff key onto this cam. Okay. So you can buy offset woodruff keys, which are expensive and hard to find, and only alter it slightly, or you can spend $800 and you can buy some new, cam pulley that has 4 bolts in there that they have slotted adjusters, so you can alter this cam pulley onto your cam. Okay, so you've got your exhaust cam, and you've got your intake cam, and you've got your crank pulley. Belt comes around your crank pulley, around a fixed pulley, around this cam, and around your intake cam that holds all of those timed correctly to your motor. Okay, so your cam timing, you've got your exhaust lobe centers, and you've got your intake lobe centers. Those all create your cam timing. They say that some of these cams can be up to 8 degrees out. Okay, 8 degrees. If you picture this wheel and you picture a lobe center, 8 degrees is quite a bit. Okay, when I clean these things up, I didn't change, and then keep in mind that I clean these up, then I go back through and I readjust all my valves. Okay, so my valve, if my lobe centers are here, and I clean these things up and I've readjusted my valves aren't going to open any earlier or any later than they did before I clean these things up. Okay, it would be minuscule. I'm talking minuscule in the timing that this would change from moving this cam 8 degrees from 116 degrees to 108 degrees is substantial. Okay, so I didn't change any of that when I cleaned these cam lobes up. Moving back to cam timing on a Desmoquattro, it's I'm not going to mess with it. Okay, what cam timing does, if you change the cam timing, say for example on an intake cam, if you advance your intake cam 8 degrees, what you're going to do is you're going to close, your valves are going to close 8 degrees sooner in the combustion process. Into 360 degrees it has to go, so you've got your piston coming up to top dead center. If your valve closes a couple degrees sooner, you're going to create more cylinder pressure, which is a great idea at our altitude, 5200, 5280. I wish I could just advance my ignition timing, but I'm not going to. That's a whole nother topic. But what you're doing is you close your valve sooner, you're creating more cylinder pressure, and you're creating more torque. So you can create more horsepower, more torque by changing your cam timing. Sometimes if your cams are way out of spec, you might be able to pick up more torque and more top end power. But for somebody that's racing, they're trying to pick up every single horsepower they possibly can, that's great. Okay, this thing flat out hauls the chicken, and at no time when I'm riding this thing flat out, flying through the mountains, am I saying, geez, I wish I had more power. I used to do that on my Moto Guzzi, because that thing makes about 90 horsepower. And it's a heavy bike. This thing's lightweight. It's just flat. It flat hauls ass. So if I was looking for a couple more ponies, I'd probably just pass this on to one of my boys, and I'd go buy myself a 1098. So I'm not messing with the cam timing. But I did want to be honest about the cams after I cleaned them up and the direct result of that. So that's where I'm at with it. So until I come back and make another video on doing a belt adjustment, that's what I got for you guys. All right, right on. Have a good one. Peace out.